Hi, this is John Ashworth, head coach of Decatur Central High School in Indianapolis, Indiana. And in today's video, we'll be breaking down our switching man-to-man defense. Now, I think one of the myths of switching man-to-man defense is that you have to switch everything. And hopefully in these clips, we can show you our thought process and our fundamentals on what we try to do. We don't switch every single thing, and so sometimes that can be a little bit more effective. Okay, let's go ahead and get started with the first clip. Now, this is against Pike High School, who we felt is a very talented offensive team, very well coached. So they knew we were going to switch coming in, and you'll see some things they did. Now, in this first cut, this is not really a screen. So although it's not a screen, we would still allow our kids to switch this. If it's guard to guard, we'll allow them to switch to our advantage. Now, if this kid anticipates this a little bit better, he could probably get out and get a steal, but he's a little bit slow to react, and that's okay. But he still switches out onto the ball. Now, I think this other play right here on the backside is incredibly important. It is a forward and a guard. Now, you'll see the forward doesn't really set a screen. He just kind of rubs off as the guard's cutting. So we don't want to switch this. We don't want to have our forward and our point guard switch. So those kids do a good job. He opens up. He lets the point guard slip through that cut. Now, this is another important play. As you see on the ball, this kid does a really good job on the offense of setting somewhat of a fake ball screen, trying to get us confused, trying to get us to maybe switch where we don't need to. Our kids do a good job of not switching that. But now they're going to come into an actual ball screen. And I thought these kids did an excellent job here in this clip. As you see, the guy that's switching out onto the ball does a good job. He pressures it. And it's super important for the guy on the low side to not get sealed. He does a good job. He fights around. He gets to the bottom side of that. We keep the ball out of the paint. Now, as they swing the ball again, you'll see in the middle they set a down screen. Players just switch back to their original men. Now you see here, our kid does a good job of getting in that gap, force a tough contested shot outside the paint. And we felt like that was a good defensive possession. If you can force them to stay out of the paint and you can force them to, shoot contested jump shots all game, you'll probably have some success. Now here's clip number 2. You'll see a ball screen action. More ball screen action in this with a big on a small. Now, if we were watching film after this game, we would be on this kid, this forward defender. He needs to be closer to that guy that's getting ready to set a ball screen. There needs to be less space there. He has to have more of a connection because we know he's coming to set a ball screen. So we would be on him about giving just too much of a gap there. But he does a good job. He switches out. Now, when this happens, we somewhat anticipate this guy with the ball, he's their leading scorer. He's going to try to attack our center if he sees him switched out, just as we would on offense. But our backside defenders do an excellent job of being in the gap here. They cut off the dribbler. Now, our guard is switched onto the post, as you see underneath the basket. And he was a pretty good defender. He was pretty savvy. He does a good job here of just trying to bait him into throwing this pass, but I still felt like all our players were in a good defensive position there. All right, let's get to our last clip. This is in the second half. As you see, there's pretty good help side. Our kids jump to the baseline, help. Kids are rotating. We're not getting out and pressuring non-shooters. And you'll see on the backside here in a second, we treat dribble handoffs. So right here, we treat dribble handoffs as a ball screen. So we would switch that just to make it easier on our defenders. So this kid does a good job of getting out. Now here's another important play right here is they don't really set a ball screen, and teams will try to do that. If you're switching a lot of screens, teams will set slip screens, fake ball screens. There's a lot that they can try to do. And as I said, Pike's very well coached. They knew we were going to switch going into this game, so they try to do some of those things. So our kids do a good job of not switching here. He helps and he recovers. Now, he could have done a little bit better job of challenging that shot, but we felt like that kid was a non-shooter, and we forced a missed shot. They never got in the paint. It really covers a lot of ground. So those were some of our principles and things that we do with our switching man-to-man defense. I hope it's something that you could implement sometimes, especially if you have a lineup that is very similar size. If you have a lot of guys that are around 6 foot, we didn't have any 6'7" guys, so we felt like we could switch a lot. But again, this is Coach John Ashworth, Decatur Central High School. Thanks for tuning in.